Hey everyone, it's Brenda back again with another episode of Three Uniques. I'm really excited to introduce you to Rosewood today. Hi Rose, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm so good. So Rose is a holistic life coach and she lives in Vancouver, Canada. So Rose, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, so I always add in a bit of that holistic part because my background comes from like an upbringing of spirituality and always bringing in sort of caring for the planet and loving animals and eating healthy. So there's an underlying woo, I would say, to
Amazing.
what I do.
Mhm.
But I also come from the world of like branding and visual displays and really creative mind. So I bring that in, and it's almost like helping people identify who they are and then showing up in the world that way. But coming at it with a holistic approach and
Mhm.
using my skills and gifts that way.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
And how did you get into into this work? Like what
Yeah.
inspired you? I guess like you said you've got the branding, the marketing background.
What was the switch? Yeah.
Yeah.
So wow, a little rewind, not to go into a big story. So I used to go to a camp, a summer camp that was all about spirituality.
Mhm.
And then I started becoming a counselor at this camp. And along my journey of like things that I've done, I've been a manager, I've run businesses. I've always loved the most is the connecting and helping people grow. So I brought sort of my camp counselor Rose and my manager Rose. And I'm like, if what I love is helping lift people up and allowing them to see their most authentic selves,
Mhm.
why don't I do that as a job? And I went to school to become like a holistic nutritionist coach. And I didn't love supporting people with their diets because it was like, you know what you need to do
Right.
it. And
Right.
I felt a lot of hand holding. Where with this, like being a coach, I get to help people from their like form their own foundation,
Mhm.
and then they get to integrate their holistic ways, whatever that is, if it's
Right.
food, if it's practice, if it's ritual.
Right.
But that's sort of up to them. It's not as much hand holding, it's more of like me showing them what they have, almost showing them their gifts.
Right.
So COVID hit, and I was gonna go casually part-time in March. Actually, I'd just gotten back from a trip,
Mhm.
and then it was like, nope, you're doing this full time. So yeah, I've just been like studying the last year and bringing in more work. I have all the like, I would say sort of, if you want to call it holistic or woo or whatever word you want to use,
Mhm.
background of like a yoga teacher, kundalini teacher. Um, I'm a Reiki master. I guide meditations almost in a like a journey state. I've done a few like past life regressions. So I just bring that and weave it into my business.
So beautiful. That's
Hmm.
amazing.
Thanks.
So you're here to share your three uniques with us. I'd
Yes.
love to hear them.
Okay. So I would say teacher,
Hmm.
connector, and the other one comes from almost like my whole holistic lifestyle. So it's one of my biggest values. I would say like integrating holistic into living. So holistic living.
Amazing. Okay, let's hear about teacher.
Okay, so teacher, a little past story
Hmm.
to get you here. I grew up not being the best student, actually, probably one of the worst students. And I realized as I got older why I wasn't a good student is because I wasn't taught to my strengths. And my strengths are visual. I'm quite, as you probably see, I'm quite like I memorize dance routines quickly. Like
Right.
they just stick into my body.
Hmm.
So if I do something like my directions, I just know. And they're like, "How do you know?" I'm like, "Well, I went there before. Like my body felt it."
Right.
So my memory or my way of learning is very different than what is taught in school.
Hmm.
So I think because of me not being a good student, I've been able to switch that and help other people learn. So when
Amazing.
I say I'm a teacher, it's in multiple ways. A yoga teacher, a camp counselor, helping children see their gifts. I work really well with children, probably because I get down to their level and I can see how they learn. And I think that's a lot of things. It's like what I bring into my coaching is I need to know how you learn before I can coach you. So we dig in a bit before so I can start coaching them the right way. And I think this can be brought into many things. Like I brought it into my managing skills. I used to manage a store at Lululemon, and they're like, you have to give feedback. And before I gave feedback, it was like, how do you take feedback? I need to know how you'll hear it
Right.
before I can actually give it to you. So I bring in what I didn't get and I gift it to other people. And there's something in there that I don't know if it's like a slight intuition that
Mhm.
I can almost sense what people are good at before they know it,
Yeah.
just by getting to know them. So the other day I told a friend, just so you know, you need to be showing up and speaking. You need to be more at speaking conversations
Hmm.
because that's where you'll be heard. And she's like, I allowed her to speak. I just had an event. She said, Rose, I didn't know I had such a voice and a platform to call in what I want. And yeah, so I see things a bit before people and I
Right.
push them, bit of a pusher.
Right. And that's, excuse me, that's so amazing. You've said a number of things that I want to just go back to. So, first of all, the traditional school environment,
Yeah.
and I think that like we are born as babies and we start learning day one. We start learning like how to support our neck. We start learning how to roll over.
Mhm.
We start walking, crawling, eating different types of food so that we're not choking. Like eventually it's like we can like progress from one type of food to the next type of food because we have teeth and all these
Yeah.
other things. And we're continually learning. We go to school to learn, but to learn a job so that we can be functioning in the world.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like finite. Like you went to school, you now learned a tangible trade. Now go earn money, go get the house, go have the children. Like your life is like programmed out now,
That's
right?
right.
And it's like we almost sort of pull that creativity, that wonder out. And I know, like, I'm not trying to knock teachers in schools. I think everyone is doing their best, especially right now with COVID and all the
I almost
alternative
became a
school
teacher.
systems. So I love teachers, but I also think that they're constrained by timelines and standards and requirements that sometimes pull the creativity, the wonder out of children. And I think as adults, somewhere in there, we need to have somebody like yourself, a coach that says you can still continue to learn. It
Yes.
doesn't stop after high school, it doesn't stop after university or college. Like keep learning, keep growing, keep pushing yourself and get someone to push you, like a
Yeah.
coach or a mentor that's going to see other strengths, abilities in you, because it's not just your degree that says this is me and this is all I can do.
Mhm.
Marketing, engineering, IT, whatever it is you graduated from college or university with, there's so much more. Like humans have so much potential.
So much, and they don't know it, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm here to help them with. And I think a lot of them are put in a place of like, you must do this, it's what your parents told you to do, like you have to, and we sort of feel restricted to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's moving from, I think, from that fixed mindset to always learning and then growing.
Yeah.
So it's awesome that we have folks like you on the planet that are, getting out to people and getting to them to think about those things, right? And making it a comfortable place too. Like you said,
Mhm.
like you push people, but you're also like, hey, how do you
Oh,
want to get feedback? How do you want to learn about yourself?
yeah.
Giving, like asking for permission and giving them their own permission to be able to step
Yeah.
into that.
They need to know it in their body before they do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't
Yeah.
push them. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. Got goosebumps.
uh,
Okay. So your second one.
Second one is connector
Mm-hmm.
and connections. And I wouldn't have called this one of mine, but I get called out for it all the time. So I'm like, okay, it's what I'm good at. Again, like I connect people back to what they should do. I bring people together like a space. So the summit I just led was about women sharing their stories of how they've come from a hard place and risen up. And in sharing the stories, other people will see that they're not alone and possibly be inspired to go after it themselves. So I bring women into this space and connect them with other women,
Mm-hmm.
connect them with new potential business endeavors or new relationships. I organize a lot of women's groups. I bring in people. I have a lot of group like friendships where I'm like, you need to be part of this friendship. You're coming in. And I have many friends say, I wouldn't have done okay in Vancouver if it wasn't for you. I wouldn't have had the friends I have if it wasn't for you. I wouldn't have opened up if it wasn't for you. And I hear it over and over. So like I said, it's not one that I would have picked, but I just bring people together. And maybe it's because I see that, like, you have this gift and you like this, so you would work well together.
Right.
There's some people I don't set up, or some people I don't bring into my community because I just know I wouldn't work well with them. And it's not like they won't work well with anyone, it's just not with me.
Right.
So yeah, I'm really good at like, oh, you need a new this, I'll connect you with this person. I always joke it's my like Italian in me. Like, I have an uncle as a cousin who like can catch up, he's the mechanic and he can fix your car. And so there's something maybe deep rooted in my back, like ancestral, but I can connect people. And yeah, there was a time where I thought I would start doing it for helping men in like dating worlds. Yeah, I think that's too much.
Right. Okay.
If anything, I could help them show up the way authentically so that they're seen properly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Well, maybe through this this interview, you might get some people asking you to help you out with that, or help you and help them out with that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear about your third unique.
Yeah. So my third unique, which is one of my values, my highest values, is living holistically, or living consciously, connecting with the planet, with my practices, because it brings me back and centers me with my like true alignment, my true aligned rose, my most authentic version of me, my most brilliant and vibrant version of me. And that's when I'm seen. So I always have to like remind myself to come back to that and anchor in there, because that's where I shine. So I think it's one of my unique gifts, because I know some of these skills. I know how to get myself there. I've been meditating for 2 years straight, and I never thought I could make it past a week. And there's like things in there that you can do to make your practices easier, but I commit to them. And it also might be my upbringing. I didn't have the most stable home upbringing. That's a huge other story. But because of that, I realized at a young age, at age 7, I need another family. So I connected to this other family, and the best friend's name, or my friend's name, was Fern. So obviously we were destined to meet, Fern and Rose. We were like the perfect bouquet. Yeah, exactly. And her family was super spiritual. We didn't have TV. We just danced or played music. We did arts and crafts. We talked about crystals and energy healing. We went to that camp starting at age 12. They brought me to folk festival at age 12. I haven't missed a year since these things are just who I am.
Right.
And it comes out in all of me, and it's weaved through everything I do.
And I'm going to make the assumption that when you're feeling a little bit misaligned or off kilter, or just not feeling your best self, you can go back to those practices really easily.
Exactly.
And it pulls you out so that you can be your best self and make decisions from there.
Yeah. And I keep getting tested, like you're in this relationship and things come up, and it's like, pull back to you, Rose, be your best version.
Right.
And then I get into a job and things come up, and it's like, remember who you are, Rose. This is your practices and you're good at this.
Right.
And to be able to bring that into everything I do, like into how I eat or into how I sit, or it's just, I think it's a gift for me. Yeah.
That's amazing. And so how was it coming up with your 3 uniques? Was this something that was an easy task or assignment that I asked you to do for this interview? Okay.
Yeah. So, and maybe this is like, I help people get here, so I didn't mind. I don't mind. Like, I'm amazing at this, and these are my gifts. And I've been doing this work for some time, so I know how to get there. I say in my coaching business, if you hear a compliment, store it and put it in your Santa bag and hold these like gifts with you.
Right.
But so the first 2 were simple. And I am a teacher through and through. It's why I was brought here to this planet, is to teach. Connections was like, oh yeah, I keep getting told about this. It must be something I have a gift.
Like listen for it too, right?
That's Start like, some people are like, thank you for that compliment, and it goes right through. Where it's like, no, thank you. Take it in and keep it.
Right.
And then the last one was tricky. I'm like, where do I go? There's so many things I could say. Like, part of me was, is it that I help children? I'm like, well, that's, you're a teacher.
Mhm.
So a lot of them kept coming back to, you're a teacher, you're a connector. But the last one was like, well, what's one of my biggest values? And how, like, I have friends that say, you are so good at being like a healer, a guide. Like, you don't know that gift, Rose. So it's this underlying one. But yeah, the last one I had to look in for.
Right.
The first two were just right there.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
so, what would you say to somebody that is, say, struggling trying to find what's unique about them? I think, this last year, my opinion, and it's not a judgment, but it's more of an opinion, is that, a lot of people have been, again, misaligned or thrown off just with some of the events that have happened, or all the accumulation of all the events that have happened. What would you say to people to get, grounded or centered around what makes them unique, their passions, their joys?
Yeah. Wow. I want to say, take my course.
Yeah, sure. And we'll make sure that we tag your website and stuff in our the show notes.
And if I'm like to think of my course and what it involves, there's a whole, like, there's an uncovering part of like getting deeper to know who you are, because not everyone goes there.
Right.
Like, this is who I am and that's good enough. And it's like, no, we're gonna dig.
Mm-hmm.
What hurts you? What like do you react to? What's a trauma? Where are you blocked? What are your limiting beliefs? What is your negative self-talk? Like, I get in and dig so that I know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
What is like your subconscious patterns keep going, they're sabotaging us.
Right.
And then once I get clear on those, then we can start looking at, like, well, what do we really desire in life? Because often we are looking at what we desire from, like you sort of said it, in our subconscious patterning, which is our patterning from when we're a child. So we think we want to be a doctor because someone told we needed to. We need to go to school, get a house, get a car, get a kid, like get married. And it's like, well, wait, you have something deeper. So I get into who they are at the core level. And then we start asking, and things come up that they never thought that they would say, or wow, I never, like, I've worked with one lady who's like, I don't want relationships, they're too hard. And we figured out why she doesn't want relationships. And it wasn't actually what she wanted. She just noticed they were hard in her past with her parents.
Yeah.
And she does want love. And she's like, Rose, I want to get married and maybe be a stay-at-home mom. I'm like, whoa, how did this switch? Like, from I don't want a partner, I'm good. So there's a bit of uncovering. Do the work of digging in. If you don't get a coach to do it with some friends. If you can get into a meditative state, and that can just be breathing, listening to your own thoughts.
Right.
So often on this chatter mind, and we can't even hear our own selves. So I know meditation's hard. You can do other things like moving meditation, walking.
Breathing. I love going out in the forest.
Yes. Like, sometimes I get so anxious, and like, just lay on your floor and look at the sky.
Yeah.
Like, or the ceiling.
Yeah.
And yeah, get into your body. That's a great one. Sometimes just dance, and you might not feel like dancing, but turn on a good song and get into, you're like, oh, there it is. I did feel like dancing. It was just so pushed down. So get something almost to raise your vibration, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whatever that is for you. And yeah, find out what those things are for you. What brings you to your happy place, your best state. And then when you're there, start asking yourself, what do I really want? Who am I? Yeah.
Amazing. Last question for you. What's something that you've invested in for yourself that's had a big payoff, a big win for you?
That's a great question. Invested. Wow. Well, the last year I've invested a lot in programs, and this is, so it's so funny. It's like, learn to trust your intuition. So as soon as COVID hit, I got let go from my job. I went on the internet and found these people, and it was like, join our program. I'm like, okay, I'll start small and then maybe I'll join more. And I joined and just did a little thing with them. I think it was $250 US for 3 months, and it was to become a spiritual coach.
Right.
And then I left it. And then I went on to more. I'm like, I need more. That wasn't enough. I need more. It wasn't enough. And then I paid for an $8,000 course. I'm like, that wasn't enough. I need more. And what I realized today was that first course I took, that was a small investment, was actually like my biggest shift.
Right.
They taught me all the stuff that I'm coming back to now.
Mhm.
So it took me paying more money. I bought many courses, like I said, and then realizing like, no, what you originally were drawn to, what your intuition said go to do,
Mhm.
was what was the most valuable for me,
Right.
at least in this year. So I think it's because I wanted to be a coach, and it like pulled me back to Rose. You know what you are. You're a spiritual holistic coach,
Right.
which is that. So it was a small amount, it was a short time, but it was like I listened to my heart with that
Mhm.
choice, and that was the best choice.
Amazing. And you invested in yourself, which is
Oh,
amazing. So
yeah.
I continually talk about that with
You.
people to make those shifts. It is about investing the time,
Yeah.
sometimes money, sometimes a lot of money.
Yeah.
And sometimes you might make a mistake with money, but it's all learning, right?
That's
And
right.
so, really take that leap and invest in yourself. There will
Yeah.
always be the
Yeah.
payoff.
Exactly. If like you said, like if you invest and it's wrong, you'll know what's not right for you next. Like I
Yeah,
discovered I don't want to do that. Yeah.
exactly.
But you got to keep trying, like they say, and make a commitment to you, to yourself, and invest in you because you're the best person. It's like first is you. You have this oxygen mask that you need to fuel yourself first so that you can fuel others around you. But
Absolutely.
yeah, invest in you. Good
Oh
one.
my gosh, so such a great way to end our interview. And
Ah,
thanks for being on today and really sharing everything about yourself as well as your three uniques. It's been fabulous.
thank you. It has been great. And thank you for making me talk about it and yeah, express it verbally. It helps.
Oh yeah, you've got a beautiful message to share. So thank
Ah,
you.
thank you.
And for everyone listening, thanks for Rose for being on today. And remember, as I always say at the end of every interview, there's 7.5 billion people on this planet. Somebody needs what you've got. So get out there and share your three uniques. Take care, Rose.
Bye.